The Dramatists Guild is the National Association of Playwrights, Composers, Lyricists, and Librettists. For the first time in a generation, our industry is undergoing a tectonic shift. If you're not a member, join today. Learn more at our website.
Hello, I am Joey Stocks, Director of Publications at the Dramatists Guild and editor of the Dramatist magazine. My co-hosts, Terry says Michael is not here yet. That's okay, we've still got things to talk about. Thank you, Terry. My co-hosts are both DG Council members and Publications Committee members. Please help me welcome Amanda Green and Christine Toy Johnson. Hello.
Hi.
Joey.
Your setting looks enviable. I'll just say that.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
P-Town, right? P-Town.
P-Town. It's really lovely. Yeah, it's
So
a
great.
sleepy P-Town right now. There are not very many people out and about.
So that's good to hear, actually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend, not many people around. They have mandatory masks on the streets. Oh great, and Terry says he's here now.
Oh, good.
Just letting you all know what all those bells are signifying. Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely. How are you all?
Okay. Week 11. I don't know. Will I keep counting? I don't know if I will, but we're still here.
We're still
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We are indeed.
Amanda, how are you? How about you?
I'm okay. I'm here. I'm back in the city. It's nice to be back. It really is. It feels like home. I feel like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nothing going on is still different than in New York City than it is anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's good to see people and see people going about their day and surviving and
Yeah.
being in good humor or being crabby, just like New York.
That's right.
Yes.
So,
That's,
yeah.
That's right.
Joey,
A lot of
yeah, a lot of masks. I think it's a good thing. I'm glad to see them when I'm out. We talked about this a little earlier. I just wanted to acknowledge that it's been a rough week for a lot of people, and there's so much pain and rage. And I wanted to take the opportunity to remind all of our members that the Actors Fund is there for you. It's not just for actors, even though it says Actors Fund. It's for all professionals in the in the industry. And the Dramatists Guild Foundation is there for you if with emergency grants. They've been incredibly active and generous in supporting our community. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to remind all of us that.
Absolutely. I am putting a link to the Actors Fund in the chat right now. And
yeah, anybody, if you've been an usher in the theater, if you've been a costume person, a ticket taker, an actor, a writer, a director, of anything, you know, they are there for you.
That's right.
The foundation has given away $500,000, I think, in the last 2 months.
That's right. Yeah, it's really amazing. Yeah, it's way more than they give away in a typical year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Yes, thank you for that, Christine. And yeah, it has been a rough week. It's been one of those strange. I feel like I'm constantly juggling. You all have to feel this too, between some amazing things and you feel really grateful and lucky, and then at the same time, it's just like having to sort of weigh that against the worst things imaginable.
Right. It's definitely the roller coaster takes on new definitions every week. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
The killings are just, it was kind of surreal. I was doing this, Sean King you could follow a prompt to make calls on Action Pack, and I was like,
yeah.
Oh, this is the same. I was just doing this for 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes, thank you again. Thank you for that opportunity. And just to repeat this, because it can't be repeated often enough. There's so many playwrights out there who think that the Actors Fund is not for them. Maybe there should be a rebranding in the future. That is a legacy term, Actors Fund, from when it was founded, but it has been working on behalf of all theater professionals, stage and screen, both in front of the camera and on stage and behind the scenes. So it's a great resource, as is, of course, for all dramatists, the Dramatist Guild Foundation. And those two links are in the chat right now. Great. And I have one announcement to make. It's a bumpy segue, but we have a new initiative. June is going to be Copyright Enforcement Month at the Guild. Such a big title.
It is.
And
it's a big subject.
It is a big subject.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true. So Dramatist Guild members, stay tuned for more information coming to you in the next week about that. And with that, we should probably, since he's here, go ahead and welcome on our first guest.
Yes, it's my great honor to introduce Michael R. Jackson. He's a playwright, composer, and lyricist whose works include Teeth with Anna K. Jacobs, White Girl in Danger, and the Pulitzer Prize winning A Strange Loop. Welcome, Michael.
Yay.
Michael.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to see you.
It's
Likewise.
so good to see you.
Okay, so Michael, are you ready for a lightning round of 10 questions live?
As ready as I'll ever be.
All right, hold on to your seat. First question, what must you have in order to begin a new work?
A question.
Okay. What must you have in the room while you're writing it?
YouTube.
That's awesome.
Yes. And what do you need in order to finish that work?
An answer. No, another question. Another question.
You mean like, where is the play?
No, like I like plays that have more questions than answers. And so I like to start with a question and I like to end with a question.
I love it.
Yeah.
When you get stuck while writing, how do you maneuver out of that?
I procrastinate.
Yay, procrastination.
I'm a big fan and supporter of procrastination.
Okay. As a writer, what have you not done but want to try?
I would like to write an opera. The libretto. I don't want to compose an opera. I would like to write the libretto to an opera.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
What is a common misconception about you?
That I'm mean. No, I think that's my own anxiety that people think that I'm mean. Common misconception about me. Well, I guess like that I'm like opinionated, that like all I like to do is like be opinionated and yeah. I don't listen. I don't know. I guess that's what would be my guess. No one's like confronted me to my face and been like, you know what I don't like about you?
Well, actually, that's why we brought you here today. I love doing question thing. That makes you a great writer. What is the best writing advice you've ever given or received?
The best writing advice that I've been given is to follow your obsessions.
Ooh, I like that.
I love that.
What production do you wish you had seen?
I wish that I had seen the original production of Company.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Oh, it's me. Sorry, I'm falling down on
My
the job.
dad took me to that when I was 7 years old.
Oh my gosh. Did you understand what was going on?
Not really. I thought it was super cool though. I never, everybody liked the
Yeah.
set. And,
Yeah.
I also
a
saw it when
lot
I was a
of
child.
problems, but I knew I was seeing something cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
I just to see those people though would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like those
Oh my
people
God.
doing it.
Yeah. Thank goodness we have that documentary, so you get little glimpses of
Yes.
what that
Yes.
might be like.
And I think is there not a recording at the library at Lincoln Center? I think that maybe it was right before they started recording, but wasn't sure.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know the answer to that. Ooh, God, yeah. If it's there, I want to see it.
Oh, good. Sorry, go ahead. Joe.
Sorry, that's me. What are you working on now?
I am working on a show that I actually started writing in the Dramatist Guild Fellowship, White Girl in Danger.
Cool.
Nice. I can't wait to see it.
Me too.
And our final question was submitted by Diane Reeves. What is an important non-creative area about which a new dramatist should become knowledgeable?
Ooh, can you repeat that question one more time?
Absolutely. What is an important non-creative area about which you think a new dramatist should become knowledgeable?
A non-creative area that I think a new dramatist should become knowledgeable about is state and local politics.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I agree. And that was our 10th question, but we have a bonus question.
Okay.
Because
Bonus
Lynn, we do. Well, we have a bonus question because Lynn Allward, hi Lynn, thank you for joining us today, asks, what is the process you follow when starting a new play? Do you outline? Do you plan? Do you state premises? What do you do? Research?
It kind of, I mean, I primarily write musicals. So it sort of depends on what kind of show it is. So if it's for a musical, I normally have to find one song that helps me like begin to crawl into a world and a tone or a style or something. But then, sometimes, I might just need to just like, I might have a vague idea of characters and I just need to like sketch out some sort of scene depending on what the premise is. But normally like I need to find a song moment. It doesn't have to be an opening number or anything like that, but like some song that speaks to something about what the piece is for me to sort of crawl in.
Great. Great answer.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
great. Thank you. Thank you for answering the bonus question. Thank you, Lynn, for submitting it.
And I think you completed the 10 questions in record time, I think.
Yes, you did.
Is it timed?
No, but we've had 10 questions answered in 20 minutes, maybe more.
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
40.
But I think you won the lightning round.
I thought that's
paying
what.
attention to the directions.
Okay.
Yes.
We love
Yes.
everyone. We
Thank
love
you.
everyone. But thank you for answering.
Good answers too, because musicals are so weird and strange and hard, but you really can't know what you're writing unless you know kinda.
Right.
And even more than the story, it's like what is this? What does it feel like? So
Right.
that complete sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate you joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Take care.
We'll see you soon. Be well.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Here's my note. Sorry, I'm cheating by glancing at my notes, and I wrote them. I should know these. I should know this better. A couple of weeks ago, I got an email from our former DG representative in Philadelphia, Jacqueline Goldfinger, asking if we would consider gathering some people who've kept writing groups going during lockdown. So I've asked Jackie to join us tonight to talk about her idea. Hello, Jackie, are you here? You're on your way. I see you. I see your name.
I am.
I think I hear you.
Me.
Through
It was
virtual
promoting me, so it
space.
may take a minute. Whatever.
Okay,
There you are.
fantastic. You're
Hi.
here.
Welcome.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We've been really lucky here in Philadelphia. We've been mourning for our brothers and sisters in New York because y'all got hit so hard so fast. So we are doing well. There are people out and about, but with masks. But we, sending all the love to New York.
Yeah,
It.
well,
thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Have you all met Jackie, Amanda, Jackie, Christine?
Hi.
Hi.
Glad to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'd love to
bet.
hear about your virtual writing group. Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. So it started right after COVID, and what happened was that all of the writing groups started shutting down, or thinking about moving online, but not really. And then also just because of the trauma that COVID caused, there were some people in the writing groups that wanted to write and some who didn't want to write. Some opened up their spaces to be more general artist discussion and support, which is wonderful and I'm in full support of. But there were some of us who wanted to continue sharing pages. So I've put together something called Beat the Plague Playwriting. And we're playwriting together the plague. It's open to anyone. You can go to Brown Paper Tickets and reserve a free seat and Beat the Plague Playwriting. And what we do is a couple of times a week, we get together in 2-hour increments. People share up to 15 minutes of material and then we talk about it for about 5 or 10 minutes. So we get about 6 people every round. And really it was a way for me to bring these kind of fractured writing groups and writers who are really excited about continuing to write together to have some kind of communal support. And so that's been fantastic. We're started in March and we're definitely continuing through June. We may take a break in July because folks are a little zoomed out, as I'm sure y'all understand. But I think it's been a real lifesaver for those of us who, especially folks who live alone, or people who can't get out. I know I am staying at home with 2 children who are 7 years old, and the opportunity to twice a week talk to another adult who could speak in full sentences and doesn't need me to do something like remind them to flush the toilet. Just like all of these good things and interactions that we need. And we try and provide that. So that's what we're doing, and folks are welcome to join. And I would love to hear how other groups are running their workshop series, because we go back and forth. We use a Liz Lerman technique.
Yep.
Back. But the way that people share pages is differently. Sometimes they like to share screen and then we read them together. Sometimes they want to read all of the pages to us. So I would just be curious to hear what kind of tips and tricks other online writing groups have learned and bring together our information so we can support artists in the best way that we know how.
People are also asking for you to share the link to your writers group. So that they can post it on Twitter. Sarah is going to post it on Twitter, but if you might just write it in the chat when you get back to the offstage area, and also what the name of the group is again. Someone's asking about that.
Yeah. Beat the Plague Playwriting. So like beat the plague as in like, we're not gonna let this get us down.
Yeah.
And we have 2 groups. We have one which is just the playwriting group, which is the one I discussed, where we share pages. And then, I need to share to panelists and attendees, excuse me. It's coming in 1 second, attendees. And then I have a second one because a number of our folks have finished works and are now thinking about the upcoming season of submissions, if that does happen. So we've started a professional development for playwrights group that meets twice a month, that does things like helps each others with artist statements and developmental goals.
Oh, cool. That's so great.
So it's, first come, first serve, free. I moderate, but we often have either guests that I bring in, or sometimes we'll bring in little videos and articles or things to share as well.
Yeah, Jackie, I get asked quite often about writers groups. What are they? How do you join one? How do you start one? And I don't have any great answers for all of these questions. I feel like it opens up more questions than I can actually answer. You know, it depends on where you are and what you're looking for, and you know, what your expectations are. And so I'm hoping that that when you come back and we've assembled a panel for you, we'll be able to sort of cover those first level of that first layer of questions. You know, what is this? I think I need it, but I'm not sure. That layer, you know, of what writers groups are or can be, as well as who are the people who are maintaining it. I want to know that too. I think that's fantastic, and we all benefit when we share tips and tricks back and forth. So yeah, I think that's great.
Absolutely.
All right. So you would like to hear from other writers groups out there. They should feel free to.
Please contact Joey. He's going to be the contact person. And we would love to put together a group of folks running online writers groups, because I have found, at least personally, that they're very different than in person. Like you have to have a much narrower scope, or things get so messy that you get nothing done. So I think that like things like that, if anyone out there wants to join the panel and talk about that, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, Terry Stratton has just put my email address in the chat for anybody who's online. And if you're part of a writers group and you want to join this panel, our panel date is July 2nd, I believe. I think that's the first Thursday in July. I hope I've got that right. And
yes, you're right. You're right.
Great, thanks.
So we have one question for you, Jacqueline. This is from Katie Pearl, and she is hoping if these groups might consider continuing when the plague has lifted.
I think that's a great question. And I think it's one we don't have the answer to right now, because initially this was started as a place for writers who had lost their writers group due to COVID. But if we create a significant core of writers who want to do this, that might absolutely be something that's on the table. I also run something called Page by Page, which provides writers groups and writer mentorship. So if anybody also wants to look at that, that is something that we'll most definitely will continue after the plague.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for that, Katie. Yeah, one of the things that I hear about, and it's kind of interesting that we're in this space on Zoom to talk about this, because usually the people I hear from about writers groups are people who live in small areas, you know, underpopulated areas, and who don't have a lot of other writers near them geographically. So I hope that this is something that actually does catch on and continue, because it enables those people who live in those small towns to be part of a writers group and to meet with their peers and discuss their work.
Jack?
Absolutely. And we have people from everywhere, from middle of Arizona to New York City in the writers groups who come and show up. It's also a wonderful place to just learn more about the art and about how the beautiful breadth of our art form and what people are talking about around the country. What writers are writing about in San Francisco is very different than Omaha, which is different than middle of Arizona, which is different than New York City. And so I feel like we learn so much more in these writers group because we're coming from disparate backgrounds, rather than kind of getting the same feedback in the same theater community over and over. So I'm curious also about, and I know the Orchard Project has started the Liveness Lab, and they're launching that this week, which is playwrights and creators from all over the country getting together to talk about what's happening in their area. And I'm wondering if some of those cross geography conversations more of them will crop up during COVID, and I hope that they continue, because there are people with great ideas about art everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you pitching this idea, because I'm really looking forward to coming back and having that conversation with a group of people.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you in
You
July.
bet.
such a great
That's
part
right.
of the community and keeping the community
It's great.
alive. Really awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's terrific. Thank you. See you soon.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Where are we?
I'm going to introduce the next section.
You are, sorry.
No, that's okay. So, as you know, collaboration has been an ongoing theme throughout the Dramatist Live, and we're continuing it by talking to theater artists who've collaborated many times across many projects.
We're joined by Seattle-based playwright Maggie Lee and director Amy Poisson, both of Macha Theater Works.
And we're also joined by New Orleans-based playwright Lisa D'Amour and director Katie Pearl, both of PearlDamour. Welcome everyone as you're coming on screen. There's Amy. Hi, Amy. Hi, Maggie.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
There's Katie. There's Lisa. Hey,
Hi.
Lisa. How are you?
Hello. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
First of all, we'd love to know how you met. So Maggie and Amy, let's start with you.
Oh.
You go.
Well, Amy and I met at a speed dating event that Rain City Projects. Rain City Projects is an organization that supports playwrights in the Pacific Northwest. And they have this speed dating thing where they have directors and playwrights meet, and they like go around and they have 2 minutes to like pitch ideas to each other and just like try to see if there's a good like love match. And Amy and I had a really good match because I was kind of getting into this like mode of like, I don't want to do couch plays anymore. I want to do like big plays. I want to do exciting, wham, bam, amazing spectacle plays. And so I was pitching this steampunk train play where there was going to be bandits on the roof and someone's jumping off and, you know, there's horses and all the directors I were talking to were like, oh, okay, yeah, that's really interesting. You really like Chekhov. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool. And then Amy and I talked and she got so excited and I got excited. And then we were just like, it was just like a perfect match, I think.
Cool.
And then also I had seen one of her plays because one of my friends had been in a show of hers, which was at Annex Theater. And Amy, what was that play?
The Strange Misadventures of Patty and Patty's best friend Jen and her dad and a bunch of other people. Longest title ever.
It was in like the fringiest of little black boxes, but Amy did an incredible job of just making it totally like an amazing experience. They put a zip line through the audience. They had like set pieces were jumping out at people and like doors were opening by themselves, and I was just like so amazed that someone could like think outside the box so much. And so I think that's where I was coming from. I don't know why Amy likes me, but that's why I like her.
I love that. Lisa and Katie, how did you all meet?
You want me to give it a shot, Katie?
Sure.
So we met in Austin, Texas. I was in graduate school getting my MFA in playwriting, and Katie had moved down after graduating from college to start a new theater company called Physical Plant with some of her friends. And I was doing a lot of stuff at the university, but also at a theater called Frontera at Hyde Park Theater, which was a really amazing incubator way back in the late 90s. And everyone just kept telling us that we had to meet.
Yeah.
They just kept saying like, you guys have to meet, because we both were really into site-specific theater and interdisciplinary theater. And so it was just kind of like, there was like matchmaking going on.
Yeah, I moved to Austin in 1996, and I was really hot on site specificity after working with a Welsh company named Brith Goff. And I was like, I have to do this work. I have to do this work. And people kept saying, oh, you should talk to this playwright named Lisa D'Amour, but she's in Portland making a play under a bridge right now.
I was making a play under the St. John's Bridge.
Yeah.
With my friend Danny. And so when I came back, we met, and of course, we immediately decided for our first project to do a 12-hour outdoor piece designed for passing cars in a
Seen by
park
the-
along a busy road.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
For like $25. Like the budget was like $25.
Or 0. But it was great. It was like we met each other and we
just
were the
made
people
something.
who just said yes. You know, like, oh, I have this idea. Oh, yes, let's do this. Oh, yes. And it was just.
And we also just made something. Like we didn't apply
Yeah.
for a grant. We didn't wait for someone to tell us we were allowed to do it.
Yeah.
And I always say it was 12 hours, and I feel like a quarter of it was like really amazing.
Yeah.
And then like another half was like, and then like a quarter was like terrible.
Terrible.
Terrible. But we did it. We made it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wanted to ask both teams how long you've been working together and how many productions you've done together.
Lisa and I have been working together for just over 20 years, actually maybe 23 years now.
Wow.
And we've maybe made, I don't know, 10. We could count. We make a new
I don't
piece
know how we
every
count
3
it.
years.
Yeah, and then, but
years.
also like some of them we revise while we're touring and they change a lot.
Yeah.
So something like that. Yeah.
What about you, Maggie and Amy?
Our first show was in 2013, so I guess that's about 7 years, and I think 6 productions. Is that right, Maggie?
Do a show a year. We try to do a show a year.
Oh, that's right. Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love that.
I have a follow-up question, not on our list. Sorry, but
Yeah, please.
Do you work with other collaborators as well, or are you exclusive to each other? You're nodding.
Yeah. I run Macha Theater Works in Seattle, and Maggie is one of the artistic associates and my writing collaborator also. So we've sort of gotten together in this theater company, which we're really lucky now to have. And she wouldn't agree to this necessarily, but she helps me run the company. But Lisa Every and Jen Razumna are writing Pair that I have produced. We're almost produced their second show, but we got shut down because of COVID. But they're part of my world in Macha Theater Works. And my other collaborator is Joy McCullough Carranza, who I've produced and directed Blood, Water, Paint, and Smoke and Dust that she's written. So those are my long-term collaborators. And yeah, that's
we see other people though.
We see other people. It's we talk about it. We have an open relationship.
Similar. Yeah, it's similar with PearlDamour. There's 2 ways we invite other people in. Each project, we tend to expand to a group of collaborators who help us achieve that particular vision, and we work with the same collaborators repeated times. So Emily Johnson, the choreographer and artistic director of Catalyst Dance, is somebody we've worked with a lot. A composer named Skip Shirey. Some other people, but then we do
Sean Hall, who's
Sean
a
Hall.
visual artist who has designed sets for us, but also designed the installation for How to Build a Forest.
Yeah, but we do date around. We come together to make this kind of interdisciplinary, adventurous work, and then we each have separate careers apart from that. Lisa as a playwright, writing more traditional plays that get produced on stages and directed by people other than me, and then me as a director who direct other people's plays too.
I have a question for both of you teams. Do you feel like what is the glue? Like, do you share the same work ethic, worldview, artistic sensibility? Amy and Maggie, what do you think?
I would say the glue for us is our sense of fun, and it's for Maggie's work, and the idea that we both have this desire to lead the horse to water, but not make it drink. And I think that there's something in Maggie's writing that is so deep and lovely without telling you what to think. And I think we're similar in many ways, but I think that's as artists, that's our we both have this very deep agreement that we don't want to say or show something too obviously.
And also I feel like as artists, like we want to make stuff. Like we don't want to like just develop and like we want to put it out there, and we want like people to see it, and we want people to have a great time when they see it. So like I think that's definitely a driving force in what we do.
Yeah. Cool. What about you, Lisa and Katie?
Well, I think a desire to really investigate the performer-audience relationship is one, and that all of our pieces, even if they're in a theater, tend to really reconfigure the way an audience, they might walk through a piece, they might, you know, be in a gallery, they might be in a park. So that's something that comes up for us again and again. What else, Katie? What else is there glue-wise?
Oh, I think we found in each other somebody else who would just work and work and work and not stop. Yeah. We both have like crazy obsessive impulses, and then the other person says like, okay, yeah, it's another example of the yes, saying yes. Like, sure, I'll sit in a small room and tape small pieces of brown paper to the wall for 2 weeks straight. Absolutely.
And I would say two more things. One thing that wasn't glue was a location, because we have never lived in the same city except for every now and then. But then another piece of glue is that we both really like to actually make things. And so especially in the early pieces, we were always like getting our hands dirty and like making the sets or making the installation.
And finally, then this has to go with performer-audience relationship. We're both really interested in architecture, and architects have been really inspiring to us. And some early influences we've really deeply shared, like Yoko Ono's conceptual art and artists like that. So we came from a vocabulary, like our questions, just how Michael was saying, like he starts with a question. I feel like our questions were really similar.
I agree.
Met.
Cool. It's great. I'm finding my questions here. Oh, what I want to know for both groups, what keeps you returning working together, and how has your collaboration evolved?
That's such a great question. Maggie and I have a really good time together, obviously. Like it would be hard if we didn't, but she makes me a better director. I mean, she writes things that are impossible to do in the theater. And all of my writers kind of do that. I'm very drawn to the impossible and making theater theatrical. And I think Maggie shares that. And we want to push the envelope and see what we can do in a theater. And so theatricality is why I do theater and not another form. I think that we probably all share that, right? Theater is a special, different thing. And Maggie and I share that, and we push each other. We really want it to be the best that it can be. And I love that. I love that about it. So that's me.
Well,
yeah.
I'm
gonna interrupt. That's all right. I'm gonna interrupt for just a second. Maggie, I'm wondering if you would tell us a little bit, just as an example of what Amy was just talking about, and maybe use your production of Sheathed, and tell us a little bit about that and how that all worked.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's see. So with Sheathed, it's a play with swords, but I didn't want to make it about glorifying violence, and so we tried to think about a way to like do the sword fights in a way that wasn't like your standard stage fighting. So I came in with Amy and I was like, I was thinking about like music and maybe we could do like a dance or a movement, and I don't really know. And she was like, yeah, okay. And she wasn't like, no, we gotta shut that down. She was like, yeah, let's go with it. So we found the right people, which was amazing, and we found a way to pay them, which was even more amazing. And like just having someone who like really takes your idea and says, yeah, let's figure this out, is so incredible for a writer, I think. And I'll keep writing plays as long as we produce them, so that would be great. Yeah, I think
great. Thank you for that. I'm sorry, and now back to the question for Lisa and Katie.
What keeps us coming back? That was the question.
Yeah.
And
That's
also,
it.
how has your collaboration evolved? One of the
Oh my God. Well, we've really grown up together in many ways, Katie and I, and been through so many phases of our life together. And so I think that our interest has changed. I feel like in the last 10 years, a lot of our work has turned more towards kind of like issues that are real, that humans are really confronting in their daily lives, like environmental issues and issues around kind of community and community identity. We did one project that was in which we visited these 5 small towns named Milton throughout the United States and wound up making theater in 3 of them. So I think that the conversation that we're having with the world has changed over time. But I just, I love Katie's brain and Katie's heart. And as it keeps growing, I keep wanting to make work with her. So.
Yeah, I was going to really second what Amy said. Nobody writes like Lisa Damour. I just love the way she writes. And when we address, even these more and more complex and big issues over the past decade, she always finds a way to write about it in a way that's completely surprising and non-preachy or pedantic, and always surprising and hilarious and intimate and full of imagination and possibility. So it's like the best thing a director can have. So, yeah.
And we really share a sense of humor.
Yeah.
That's really important, right? Right, yeah. Amy and Maggie.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So important. So important.
I think we also agree on the type of person that we like, the personality of the people we like to work with. And so we gather this group that's like our army of artists that, we all
absolutely
do it.
Yeah. But I will say one more thing, which is that one of the things that has aided our longevity is that at a certain point, people really started knowing us as a team. And so we started being asked to do things as a team. And I think it's kind of a critical juncture where we might have gone separate ways. That's what was happening. And so we had sort of an excuse or a mandate to keep working together and keep growing together, which was a big part of it.
So interesting. And I want to give you this opportunity to talk about Ocean Filibuster. I just got a press release at 4 o'clock about Ocean Filibuster. And I was like, what kind of synchronicity is this? And it didn't come from you all.
Great.
Great. Ocean Filibuster is our latest project that was set to premiere at ART in September, ART and Arts Emerson in Boston. That will be postponed. But it was a piece that was commissioned by ART and the Harvard Center for the Environment. And the Harvard Center for the Environment started commissioning artists. They wanted to figure out how they could bring subjects and questions that were happening in scientists' labs out to the general public and make them accessible. And, when we started the work, we had just done a piece about forests. And so we decided we wanted to try and do something about the ocean. And the way the project turned out is we started, as we were talking to scientists about all of the many issues that the ocean is facing in terms of ocean health, and especially how humans dump so much of our literal and metaphorical shit into the ocean, that we started feeling like the ocean was somewhat of a human enabler and of some of our worst issues. And we wondered, what would it mean if the ocean decided to just start talking and talking and talking and talking and refuse to shut up until it was heard? And that was really the idea that we started with. And it's turned into a spoken and sung performance with video that is set in a future global Senate, in which this one senator has proposed a bill to end the ocean as we know it because it has become too unmanageable. And the first person that comes to speak against the bill is the ocean itself. And the senator and the ocean are portrayed by the same actor, an amazing performer named Jen Kidwell.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I deviated from our script entirely.
No, that's
We're back
okay.
on track now.
I'm glad to hear about it. Well, so the next question was, do your collaborations obviously are amazing and fruitful and long-standing, but do you ever, like in all relationships, I guess, disagree with one another? And if so, you know, in a really strong way. And if so, how do you resolve those disagreements?
I'll go with the one I was talking about to you earlier, which is that Amy and I were like, what if something comes up? And so I was like, look, she always tries to make my plays a little more sexy because I write these like romantic entanglements that are very subtle. It's like they look at each other and it's like, that's the moment, you know? And she's like, I don't know what's happening. You gotta show what's happening. And I'm like, she's like, you gotta grab each other. You gotta kiss. I'm like, just a little less, you know? And so we definitely have that, which is actually good because it makes me think of like, okay, what is like your average theater person gonna, like, because you have to communicate your ideas in a way that people understand it. So
listen, Maggie's first play we did together, Clockwork Professor, she wrote in characters that came from another dimension, and one of the rules of the dimension was that their clothes couldn't come with them. Then she didn't want any nudity in the play, and she was very upset that I was showing people's butts. So
like a twerp, you know, like magically appears and like drapes over them. So yeah.
We push each other's boundaries. Now she knows to be more careful about what situation she writes in. When we have a disagreement, I guess we've definitely had disagreements about scenes, and sometimes they're like simple, too many words, not enough action. And I think that we just talk it out. I mean, we've been at it for such a long time, and also, you know, the writer, it's so delicious to do new work and to have a writing partner that, you know, because directing can be really lonely. I don't know if you feel like that, Katie, but
yeah.
You know, it's hard because you can't really ask an actor like, God, do you think this scene is working? Because they'll be like, what? You don't know? So I love working with writers because they know what it's supposed to feel like. So I think I trust writers and I trust Maggie implicitly, and you know, she listens we listen to each other, and so far, you know, it's been great. We found the right solution to each thing, and I think it's good. I think we keep each other, you know, moving forward in a
I think
new,
it helps
exciting
too
way.
that like I'm in the rehearsal room like all the way through with when we do a show. So I can come whenever, I can stay as long as I want, I can speak. I mean, maybe not in the middle of rehearsal, but I can definitely like voice my opinions. And so I mean, I know a lot of playwrights don't get that when they have productions, and so it's really great to just see it happening and like to have this like total openness. And so you don't show up on opening night and are like, what? I don't know what this is, right? And when it's like, yeah, we made this together, and I remember we made all these decisions together. And
yeah, I forget that that's unusual. We talk as we go, for sure. I don't surprise her.
What about you, Katie and Lisa?
I would say that creatively, we don't really run into something that feels like disagreements. Early on, we realized that for each show, there were going to be one or two things that the other person felt like we have to have this in the show. And the other person is like, I really don't get that. But we just like trust and let it go. And then because even though we primarily identify Lisa as a writer and me as a director, Lisa is all up in my directing, and I really rely on that. I depend on that. And when she's writing, I'm a super active dramaturg, and she's sending me.
Well, and I'll often, if we're not writing it together, I'll often be like, Katie, just see if you can take care of this page. She'll rewrite it.
Yeah, so. Right. Or we'll generate text together to start things. Mm-hmm. But one thing I think, because we've been working together for so long, we joke that we're each other's longest primary relationship. Like, we've been together more than we've been with our romantic partners, and so because of that, we can get hurt by each other sometimes, the way that you hurt your partner. And we've become a lot better over recent years, like waiting for a little bit. You can bet me on this, Lisa. Waiting for a little bit and then maybe like leaving a phone message or an email saying like, hey, that was really hard for me what happened the other day. Let's talk about it. And then we managed to talk about it, but sort of a way to like take the heat out of it without just like suppressing it. Whereas in the early days, maybe we would have stewed or stayed up, not been
Well,
able
and I also think like other long-term couples, there are, you know, there's relationship dynamics that keep coming up again and again, even though you know how to work. And so I think for Katie and I get into a very big sister, little sister, oldest child, youngest child dynamic, in which I am the controlling one, and we've worked through it many times, and it's gotten we can kind of flag it when it comes up now. But like when you work with someone over that period of time, it's really intimate.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. I've got a question from online. This is for everybody. How do you know when a piece is ready for a table read or a stumble through? Anybody have an answer for that?
Go, please.
Well, it's just sort of a worked in part of the process and also I'm not sure that we wait for it to be totally ready. We set like, okay, we're going to have a 2-week workshop, and at the end of those 2 weeks, we're going to show it, whatever we have, or we've generated, stewed, done experiments, just the two of us with writing. And then Lisa's like, okay, I'm going to put together text and I'm going to read the whole thing out loud to you or to our producing partners really early on. And
I saw that question actually popped up while Michael was speaking. And I think it can be different for a playwright who's sitting alone writing a play in a traditional theater than what the process Katie and I go through for these interdisciplinary works is much more like, let's hear it out loud right away. But I do think that I actually think reading your own play out loud by yourself can be a really good first step if you're not ready to invite in a whole group of actors.
Why do you say that, Lisa?
Because then you can get out of your head and you can start to understand something about the rhythm of the play. And if you're reading it to someone that you trust, they can get a different kind of feel for it as well.
That's great. Thank you.
We have one last question, and you've sort of kind of answered it all along, but maybe you have something final to say about it. How do you feel that you're, like, together you create something greater than you would on your own? Like, what do you think that sauce is that you guys have when you work together that you wouldn't necessarily have on your own?
Well, as just a director, not writer, I would have nothing.
Fair enough.
I really like the writers. To me, are the goddesses of the theater community, and so for me, there is no me doing what I do without the writers. So that's all I have to say. Maggie?
I don't know. I have a lot of self-doubt sometimes, and so it just helps me to have someone who I know like has my back and supports me and will set a deadline, because I'm very, speaking of the last question, like I'm like so deadline driven, like I won't write unless they're like, people are going to be there. I'm like, oh, I better write something. People are going to be there. So Amy gives me a deadline. She, but she also supports me when I'm freaking out. And it's just like, yeah, I have that.
Oh, that's soon.
Soon, yeah. But thanks for reminding me. Now I can freak out. No, but yeah, totally. It's just, I don't know. I think it's just, it is like a long-term romantic relationship where it's like you have a partner that is going to be there for you, and you can just trust in that. And it makes me feel freer to try things and, experiment and like put my best self forward. So yeah.
I know I have like a collaborator who I work with, and he's like, he sort of drives me to be like, he asks some deeper questions than I might be thinking, and I might go for a humor that he wasn't thinking of, and he has like a better handle on contemporary stuff, and I have a better so I mean, like, together we create something bigger, than either of us could do. And it clearly seems like you guys feel that. What about you, Katie and Lisa?
Well, I was going to say, if it wasn't for Katie, I would just be sitting around thinking about why things might not work. Because Katie makes me like get up and try things, you know, like she's like, well, I don't know, let's try it. And I'd be like, no, I'm going to go back and think about it. So she really like gets things out in the world, and that ideas I thought would never work sometimes do work or work in a completely different way. And so she kind of brings me outside of all of my blocks. And it just helps me see what the art can be.
Yeah. And then the same thing is flipped for me too. Like I love trying things, but then I want Lisa to go back and think deeply about it to then do something with it.
I do. I really like revising and like compressing, and because I'm controlling.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of like, yeah. So it's a yin and yang that works pretty well.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
That's so great. Thank you all so much for being here today. I appreciate it. It's so terrific to see everybody's faces. I'm glad everybody's healthy. And we look forward to seeing your work up on its feet again very soon.
Yes. Oh, could I just say quickly, we're
you.
doing a work in progress showing of Ocean Filibuster online through the Guggenheim on Monday, June 8th. And it's going to be excerpts of the piece kind of curated for Zoom and some conversation. So
yes, thank you for that. I'm putting the website in the chat right now.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Then we should say that Maggie's play that's due May 31st will be read on June 15th on Zoom in the distillery. So
great.
That's great.
So it's so I'm excited to see Lisa and Katie's.
Cool.
And it's awesome to meet you both, and I'm excited to know you out there.
I was so glad to go to your theater's website and learn more about what you're doing. It sounds
Maggie,
really
I'm
awesome.
excited to read some of your plays too. So
Yeah, I'm on New Play Exchange if you.
Great.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Also on Amazon.
Great.
Published.
Those are gorgeous.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you so much,
Fantastic.
Joey and everyone.
Yeah,
It's great
awesome.
being
You
here.
bet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's wonderful
Thank you
to
all.
see your work.
Okay.
Thank you all. We really appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Thanks to all of our guests. Sorry, I'm stepping on Amanda's line.
Go for it. Do
Okay,
it.
thanks to Michael R. Jackson and Jacqueline Goldfinger.
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second, Joey, because you skipped something about
I
the
did.
business. You wanted to give people information about the business side of collaborations.
You're absolutely right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes. Speaking of collaborations,
Terry just put it in the chat.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you, Christine. For those of you who are interested in the business side of collaborations, we have a video from a recent webinar on the topic on our website. And the magical Miss Terry just put that link in the chat right now. So for those of you who are interested and need to know more about that business side of things, it's all there, thanks to our business affairs department. Okay, now we're back to the thank yous.
Okay, we're back. So we want to thank Maggie Lee and Amy Poisson.
Thanks to Michael R. Jackson and Jacqueline Goldfinger.
Thanks to Lisa D'Amour and Katie Pearl.
Thanks to the staff of the Dramatist Guild, always Sarah Rebell and Zach Turner.
Lily Dwoskin and Emmanuel Wilson.
And thanks to the magical Miss Terry Stratton behind the scenes, and to my co-hosts Amanda Green and Christine Toy Johnson, and to all of our viewers. Thank you for being here.
Next week will be a special 90-minute edition where we'll continue our discussion of great long-time collaborations like these with the fabulous Charles Bush and his team of artists, his merry band, including Carl Andres and Jennifer Van Dyke.
That's right. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
We will see you next week.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Everybody,
Thank you. Be well.
Write if you want to. Don't worry if you don't.